Today we'll be looking at the story of Richard. He's an ordinary American college student studying at Carnegie Mellon. When Richard goes shopping for items such as food, clothes, or filling up his subway card, he often uses his Visa debit card. This semester, Richard hopped on a plane to Singapore for his study abroad semester at SMU. At Singapore, wherever Richard goes, such as hawker centers, convenience stores, or filling up his MRT card, many of these places do not actually accept Visa cards. These places are cash only. Coming from the US where Richard barely uses cash, Richard was quickly annoyed from the constant trips to the ATM. This got him thinking, what happened to Visa in Southeast Asia, especially Singapore? This past summer, Richard interned with Visa, so he knew the strengths of Visa made it the market leader of the payment industry. Regardless, Richard realized for Visa to expand in Southeast Asia, Visa would need to use the market leader strategy of expanding the markets, which in this case is credit or debit cards. Before we get started discussing our recommendations, let's discuss a few key facts about Visa. For example, the question of what is Visa? The most important thing to know is it's not a bank. What Visa is a middleman service between your bank and merchants and anyone else in the Visa network. So the question is, how do they make profits? Well, let's take Richard again. Imagine that Richard goes to a supermarket and to buy his weekly groceries and he spends around $100. Of course, Richard doesn't bring his cash, so he uses his Visa debit card to pay for this. Looking at that $100, the supermarket would take 98% of it, or $98. His bank would take 1.7% of it, or $1.70. And Visa would take 0.3% of it, which is just 30 cents. This 30 cents might not seem like a lot, but you have to remember, Visa is a global company that works in almost every country in the world. They process around 2,000 transactions per second, so as you can imagine, the numbers add up. Next, let's look at a market analysis of Visa. From the BCG approach, Visa in the Western countries like the US and Europe are the cash cows, and the Asian market is a question mark, which we want to be a star. Looking at Visa's competitor analysis, outside of Visa, Visa is no doubt the market leader, facilitating over 60% of the transactions worldwide. In addition, they are one of the most trusted companies when it comes to mobile payments. It may be surprising, but Visa's greatest competitor isn't actually MasterCard. Visa's greatest competition is cash. Moving on, let's look at some of Visa's advertisements from around the world.
Would you pick Visa versus, let's say, MasterCard?
I think for one thing, Visa has Visa PayWave.
Yeah.
So I think I would. That's one reason why I would choose Visa over MasterCard.
Okay.
I think more banks offer Visa.
So you just pick the bank.
Sometimes I do want MasterCard, but some banks they don't collaborate with Master.
Okay.
So I guess it's a regret.
So is there anything that would make you use it more?
I think if more there are more places that accept cashless payments, I think it'll be
Okay.
Yeah, I guess only when I don't have enough cash I will use card. I won't voluntarily use card.
And what would make you more likely to voluntarily use?
It's discount. If I go to Kofu, then they pay by Visa, they give me discount. I wouldn't mind pay Kofu by Visa as well.
From our research and interviews, we identified a few problems Visa faces in the Asian markets. From these problems, the main issue we identified is the Asian consumers' perception on credit cards. The first worry of consumers were the high fees associated with credit cards. People didn't want to pay expensive fees for things like late payments and interest fees from different banks like DBS. The second characteristic was that Asian consumers want to fully own a product. They don't want to pay with credit in case any future problems might occur, for example, like debt. The third characteristic we found was that Asian consumers, especially the older generation, did not trust card payments. They were afraid of security issues such as having their card information stolen online. The final characteristic of Asian consumers was a large fear of debt. Due to the cultural stigmas looking down on debtors and horror stories of people getting into debt with credit cards, there is a negative stigma around card usage. To achieve market penetration of the lucrative Asian market, Visa must first overcome these negative stigmas. To do this, we recommend Visa to target merchants and consumers with a variety of strategies to change people's perceptions on cards. To increase card usage, it's vital to persuade more merchants to accept cards. We want to create ads and materials to explain the benefits of accepting cards. For example, accepting cards can easily increase sales at a busy hawker center due to faster processing of payments and not dealing with tedious tasks like giving the customer his change. We want to partner with a bank like OCBC to give merchants free trials of credit card machines. This way they can actually see the benefits for themselves. Then, to further incentivize signups, Visa can offer rebates to merchants if they process enough payments by using cards. By implementing these various strategies, we want new merchants to start accepting card payments, for example like hawker centers and food courts. This has been done in a few places like Kopitiam and Toastbox, so it can definitely work. We can also target places such as convenience stores like Cheers and Watson's, or even public transport by linking more Visa cards with the MRT. Moving on to target Asian consumers, we want to create an informational campaign to clarify a few key issues. For example, concerning security. Visa's network to this day has never been hacked and there are many security features in place. We need to inform the consumers that they shouldn't be afraid of using card. Secondly, we want to emphasize the idea that Visa is everywhere. Whether it be to merchants in Singapore, e-commerce, or abroad, we want consumers to know they truly don't need cash if they have a Visa card. Without a doubt, the Asian markets have huge potential for Visa. One potential long-term plan is to further target merchants by offering no exchange rate fees when non-Singaporeans use their cards. Another way to target consumers is by launching a new Visa app to tackle the consumer mindset of overspending. We can update our Visa app to connect with every Visa account of a consumer and include features such as budgeting tools and credit card limits. This can help ease consumer fears of overspending and work to change the Asian consumer's mindset. With that, we'd like to thank you for watching this presentation and feel free to ask us any questions.